Hi, how are things? This probably sounds familiar to you. It's late, you're in bed, but instead of sleeping, you find yourself scrolling on your phone, watching memes, videos, or maybe caught up in the latest episode of your favorite series. In the end, you end up saying, just 5 more minutes. But, surprise, it's already 2 in the morning. The curious thing is that this habit, which seems harmless, not only takes away hours of sleep. According to some studies, it could be related to something much more worrying: the increase in diseases such as Alzheimer's, diabetes, depression, anxiety, and others. Well, it has to do with electricity, smartphones, and how we have disconnected from something as basic as getting a good night's sleep. In this video, we are going to explore how sleep affects our brain, why animals seem to have this figured out much better than we do, and above all, how we can recover good habits without giving up technology. So if you've ever wondered why you feel exhausted, or what you can do to improve your rest and take care of your mental health, this video is for you. Come with me, let's discover it together. But first, we ask you to subscribe, like this video, and activate the bell. Don't fall asleep, we continue. Think about it for a moment. Before electricity, humans lived in sync with nature. The sun was rising, and everyone started the day. The sun was setting, and the darkness was a sign that it was time to rest. It was simple, right? Natural light was our clock, and the body perfectly understood when it was time to work, relax, or sleep. Now, let's fast forward in time to the day Edison invented the light bulb. Brilliant. The night was no longer a limit. The houses, streets, and businesses were filled with light, and we began to work, read, or socialize until late. Great for productivity, but not so great for our biological clock. And then smartphones arrived, those small, shiny screens that today seem to be part of our body. If the light bulb expanded our nights, smartphones completely conquered them. Because let's be honest, who hasn't spent hours in front of their phone in bed, scrolling through social media or watching videos? The problem is that these changes are not free. They are directly affecting the way our brains rest and repair, which could have very serious consequences. Our body is designed to follow cycles of light and dark, something known as the circadian rhythm. Artificial light, especially blue light from screens, confuses our brains. It thinks that it is still daytime and stops producing melatonin, the hormone that tells us it's time to sleep. This delays sleep, reduces its quality, and leaves us less time in the deep phases, which are the ones that truly repair the brain. This is where the issue of Alzheimer's comes in. When we sleep deeply, our brain takes the opportunity to cleanse itself, eliminating toxins and harmful proteins and regenerating our neurons. But if we don't get enough sleep, or if the sleep is of poor quality, this cleansing doesn't happen as it should. Over time, these toxins, such as the famous beta amyloid, linked to Alzheimer's, begin to accumulate. And this is where the damage begins to become evident. Smartphones not only steal hours of sleep, but also keep us in a state of hyperconnection. Notifications, social networks, and news constantly bombard us, increasing stress and anxiety. And this doesn't do our brain any favors either. Electricity and smartphones have changed the way we live radically. They have given us freedom and comfort, but they have also led us to ignore one of our most basic needs: sleeping well. It's as if we've decided to be nocturnal, forgetting that our brains still function like our ancestors. They need darkness and rest to stay healthy. But don't worry, we're not saying to throw away your smartphone or cut off the electricity in your house. We just need to understand how these changes affect our body and start making more conscious decisions to take care of our brain health. Let's take a little trip back in time, shall we? Let's go back a couple of centuries, to a time where everything worked at a very different pace than now. Imagine a world without bright lights, without screens, without electricity. When the sun set, darkness enveloped everything. Families gathered around a fireplace or lit candles to illuminate the last hours of the day. It was a time of calm, of transition towards rest. Now let's go to 1879, the year Thomas Edison completely changed the game with his light bulb. What was once a clear signal to go to sleep, sunset, was no longer a limit. The nights were no longer dictated by nature and began to extend, illuminated by an artificial glow that transformed our routines forever. Before the light bulb, nighttime options were limited. Maybe you could chat for a while, read a book by candlelight, or just sleep. But the arrival of artificial light opened a range of possibilities. Now we could work, socialize, or entertain late into the night. And with this, other problems arrived that made the situation worse. Nightlife and socializing came along with smoking and liquor consumption. And although this sounded exciting, it came with a cost. Our sleep hours began to decrease and our health to deteriorate. Our bodies are designed to follow the light and dark cycle. During the day, sunlight keeps us awake and active. At night, darkness stimulates the production of melatonin, the hormone that induces sleep. Artificial light disrupted this connection. Suddenly, our brain no longer knew if it was day or night, and our internal clock began to go haywire. With the ability to artificially lengthen the day, we begin to use those extra hours to work, socialize, or just do anything, except sleep. The cities lit up, businesses extended their hours, factories began night shifts, and everything began to move 24/7. The idea of turning off the world when the sun went down no longer made sense. Sleep isn't just about closing your eyes and letting time pass. It's a complex and fascinating process during which our body and brain work tirelessly to repair themselves, consolidate memories, and prepare for a new day. However, when we disrupt this process, as happens when we sleep late or irregularly, the impact on our health can be significant. Sleep is divided into two main stages: non-REM sleep and REM, rapid eye movement sleep. These stages alternate in cycles of approximately 90 minutes throughout the night, each with specific functions. The non-REM phase is key to physical and mental recovery. We begin stage 1 with light sleep. Our body begins to relax, breathing and heart rate slow down, but we can still wake up easily. Then comes stage 2. In this stage, brain activity decreases, but we are still in light sleep. It represents most of the time we spend sleeping. And then comes the most important stage of non-REM sleep, deep sleep. This is where the restorative magic happens. It is when the brain activates fundamental processes, such as the elimination of toxins and the repair of tissues. REM sleep is the stage of sleep most linked to dreams. During this phase, the brain is almost as active as when we are awake. It is crucial for consolidating memories and learning new skills. Both phases are necessary for the body and brain to regenerate, but deep sleep, non-REM, is the one that plays a special role in brain cleansing. Now let's talk about melatonin. Melatonin is a hormone produced in the pineal gland, located in the brain. It is released in response to darkness and is key to regulating our biological clock or circadian rhythm. However, melatonin production is very sensitive to light. When we are exposed to screens, bright lights, or even street lights, our brain interprets that it is still daytime and reduces the production of this hormone. This explains why sometimes it is so difficult for us to fall asleep after a marathon of series or a long session of scrolling on our phone. During deep sleep, the brain activates its cleaning system known as the glymphatic system. This system removes accumulated toxins during the day, such as beta amyloid and tau, proteins that, if not eliminated, are associated with neurodegenerative diseases such as Alzheimer's. In addition, deep sleep promotes the production of myelin, a substance that coats and protects neurons, allowing efficient communication between them. Without this process, neurons weaken, memory is affected, and brain aging is accelerated. Sleeping late or irregularly interferes with these phases, especially deep sleep, leaving the brain with unfinished work. It's like if the cleaning staff only had time to sweep a corner of the office and the rest was left in disarray. But why does sleeping late disrupt this balance? When we go to sleep late, we are shifting our internal clock. The body has a biological schedule designed to follow the cycles of light and darkness. This rhythm is optimized for deep sleep to occur in the early hours of the night, when melatonin levels are at their peak. If we get used to going to sleep late, our biological clock and circadian rhythm become misaligned and do not release melatonin, which triggers a sleep that does not fulfill its main function, to repair. That's when you ask yourself, but if I slept almost 10 hours, why am I so tired? Well, the answer is that sleep is actually out of its natural phases, and what you call sleep is practically not sleep. In addition, when your sleep time is not naturally aligned, it triggers problems related to temperature and metabolism. Remember that at the beginning we told you that sleeping poorly was related to obesity. Well, the alteration of metabolism is the cause. When we don't get restorative sleep, the effect is felt immediately. Without deep sleep, the brain does not eliminate accumulated toxins, leaving us with a feeling of mental fatigue and difficulty concentrating. Lack of sleep affects hormonal balance, increasing cortisol, the stress hormone, which makes us feel more irritable and anxious. And what about accelerated brain aging? In the long term, lack of restorative sleep can lead to a loss of brain plasticity, that is, the brain's ability to adapt, learn, and repair itself. Now that you know this, you can change. Humans are creatures of habit. Here are some tips to improve your sleep experience. Set regular schedules. Try to go to bed and wake up at the same time every day to keep your internal clock in balance. Turn off screens before bed. At least an hour before bed, reduce exposure to blue light. You can use light filters on your devices or special glasses. Create a conducive environment. Keep your room dark, cool, and quiet. Use blackout curtains and minimize external noise. Take advantage of natural light. During the day, expose yourself to sunlight to reinforce your circadian rhythm. This also helps improve the quality of nighttime sleep. Avoid stimulants. Limit your consumption of caffeine and alcohol, especially in the hours before bed. Have you ever noticed how animals sleep? It seems like they have a secret pact with nature that we, at some point in our evolution, forgot. From cats that can spend up to 16 hours a day sleeping, to birds that synchronize their rest with the solar cycle, animals have a lot to teach us about the art of resting. Most animals have a direct connection with their environment. When the sun sets, many creatures automatically begin to prepare for sleep. Wolves return to their dens, birds seek branches to perch on, and nocturnal insects like fireflies even mark their activity with light patterns. One of the fascinating examples of animal sleep is cats. Cats are experts at sleeping, dividing their naps into several sessions throughout the day. And they do it with such devotion that when we observe them, we can't help but feel envious. Their strategy is simple. They sleep when their body asks for it. There are no distractions, no worries about one more episode of the latest series. Migratory birds are an example of efficient rest. Did you know that some birds can sleep while flying? They can do this by using only one part of their brain, while the other remains alert. This ultra-dynamic system allows them to stay active during long journeys without compromising their need for rest. Can you imagine if we could do something like that during a long day? But where do we leave the bears? Bears that hibernate are the perfect example of how deep rest is key to regeneration. They spend months sleeping, decreasing their metabolism and allowing their body to conserve energy. This prolonged rest is literally their lifeline. This makes us reflect as a species and ask ourselves, what are we doing wrong? While animals respect their natural cycles, we do the opposite. Instead of following the example of cats and bears, we sacrifice hours of sleep for work, entertainment, or simply to stay glued to our phones. We ignore the signs. Even though our body asks us to rest, we often ignore fatigue. Animals don't force themselves to stay awake. When they're sleepy, they simply surrender to rest. And what can we learn from them? Listen to our bodies. Just like cats that sleep when they need it, we should pay more attention to our body's signals. If you're tired, why not prioritize rest? Make sleep a priority. If bears consider rest a pillar of their survival, why do we treat it as an optional luxury? Create a conducive environment. Animals seek a safe and comfortable place to sleep. Do the same. Turn your room into a haven of tranquility, away from noise, lights, and distractions. Animals don't have clocks, calendars, or apps to monitor their sleep. They simply trust their instincts and the rhythms of nature, and therein lies the secret to better rest, perhaps. In our quest to do more and be more connected, we've lost something essential: the ability to disconnect in order to truly rest. Perhaps it's time to observe cats, birds, and bears more, and remember that, like them, we are part of nature. Sleeping well is not just a matter of comfort, it's a matter of survival. We have reached the end of this video. We hope we have convinced you to seek better sleep from today. But first, don't forget to like the video and subscribe. Sweet dreams until next time.